this one, I was having a visitation, and the Lord brought me into the spirit, and I walked through this hillside, and all of a sudden I was into this incredible garden, but it was all fall foliage. You know, if you live
fall
in the north,
yeah.
When we lived in the Northeast, it was just beautiful when the leaves changed their colors.
Yeah.
It was more magnificent than that. It was just so beautiful. And so I was walking along, looking at all this these vibrant colors, and the Father spoke to me, and he said, "This is the season you are entering into. Harvest time is here." Now, he wasn't talking in the natural because we know we're in the fall. He was talking in the spirit. Harvest time is here. Seeds that were sown in the past that appeared long forgotten and dormant are now producing their harvest. Daughter, you have labored diligently for us and for our children, and now you will see an enormous crop of fruit appear. Good seeds produce fruit. And he was saying that to me, but to everyone, that this is the time when we that have been sowing to righteousness, obeying God, serving God, Steve, you've been doing it. You're going to see great fruit in this hour. Okay.
Nice.
And I think you're already starting to see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's really good. So, and when you're saying harvest time, you're saying harvest of both kinds, good harvest and bad harvest. Harvest is harvest.
You got it.
So he's not saying this. He's not saying this is a time for only one of those. He's saying this is a time for both of those. Good harvest and bad harvest are coming.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. He said, those who labored selfishly and did only what coddled their flesh will reap a rotten harvest, like rotten food.
Yeah.
Many who followed Satan sowed wicked seeds with their thoughts, their words, and their deeds, and these too will see a wicked, corrupt harvest. No beauty will appear. All things that were sown will sprout, grow, and be seen by all for what they are. So he said, everything that we did in this season now that was done in secret, that was nobody knew about. This is the hour where those things are going to sprout up and grow, so to speak, where everybody's going to see them. And this is really what's been happening the last few months. We're starting to see things and hear things that we were not aware of going on, not just in our nation, in all the nations of the world by the corrupt. Okay. He said, their lives will reflect all that they have done, like a garden in their yard. And I was seeing like a person's home in the backyard, they had a garden. Okay. They will have to partake of those things they did. They will reap what they sowed. Just like someone who has to eat from the garden, which has only rotten fruit and vegetables, will be those who did nothing good with their lives. A foul taste will fill them, and a rotten fragrance will emanate from them that will be evident to all. So he said, this season we're entering into, things that were done in secret, not only are they going to appear, but the people that did them are going to reap the very harvest of that which they sowed. All right. And then he said to me, as we were walking along, he said, this is your garden in heaven. That's where he took me, in the spirit. Nice. He said, this is your garden here in heaven. We all have a garden in heaven. The deeds that we're doing here on earth, the seeds are sown in heaven, and they're reaping a wonderful, wonderful harvest, a wonderful crop in heaven. He said, so this is your garden in heaven that we're taking you to visit today. All that you did for love of us has grown and is now bearing its fruit for you and for all to see. Harvest time is a wonderful time for those who love and serve us, but it is a terrible time for those who refused our invitations to follow us and embrace our ways.
Can you clarify one thing? If there's it's easy to think of, let's say, yourself and working for the Lord, and then there's easy to see the wicked laboring not for the Lord. What about Christians? I mean, there's a term called a carnal Christian, where you're not serving the Lord very carefully, and you're doing some you're speaking against God's children, and you're bad mouthing them, and then you do some good works too. Where does that fall?
Well, the Lord's been speaking to me about that, and he's told me that we're coming into, which I'm going to get to in the notes.
Okay.
His fire is going to fall during this time. And when his fire falls, like the baptism of fire, when his fire falls, It's going to consume the chaff that's in all of us. So that's some Christians who, like you said, are living a life of compromise. One foot in the world, one foot in the kingdom. Oh, and when the fire falls, if we repent, turn from those things, we'll be purged and purified of them. And all that will be left will bear an abundant crop, a wonderful harvest for our lives. But if we refuse, then we're going to see those things that we did in secret, or those things that were not pleasing to God, bring forth their fruit. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then he said, lengthy prison sentences will be reaped by many, along with humiliation and deep sorrow. There will be those who are filled with regret and shame. So the Lord's saying that this harvest time that we're in, some people are going to be reaping what they sowed is going to produce lengthy prison sentences. And he said that to me while I was sitting praying, but I was just out in the kitchen cooking dinner, and I heard him say, lengthy prison sentences are coming. Whoa, it was so strong in his heart. Then when I got alone with him, he brought me into this visitation, and again, he repeated it, lengthy prison sentences. We're going to see this. The people are going to reap that. All right. Humiliation and shame will be part of it. He said, this garden in heaven that we are showing you is a little preview of what you will be reaping on the earth and in heaven when you come to join us someday. So the Lord's saying, we all have these gardens that we're sowing, but it's going to manifest on the earth. We don't have to wait till we get to heaven.
That's really
yes,
good.
We're going to see it there, but we're going to see it manifesting, and it's harvest time, so it's manifesting now. That, oh, look what you're doing with the wells. I'm sure there's much more going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, but that we can all see. Harvest, what a great harvest that you're bringing forth for people to get refreshed, to get water. Water is a necessity. We just think everybody's got water. No, some people don't. And God's so pleased with that, Steve. So
thank you. That's, wow. You know, a lot of that thing about water, it's like, I don't know the stats, but there's more on earth that don't have water than that do. We don't even realize that. It's like, it's overwhelming, the task. But that's, I don't want to get off the base, but yeah.
Oh, so while we were, oh boy. As we walk through this cult, you know why the fire's on me? Because God is so pleased with what you're doing with the wells.
Wow.
And that you're bringing water.
Wow.
It's fires all over me. And I feel like weeping and crying because of his approval.
Wow.
It's a big thing, Steve. This is big to God. He's going to bless you, and he's going to bless all the people that are helping with this endeavor. It's big in his heart.
Wow.
And then he said, as we walk through this colorful, magnificent garden in heaven, Father explained that we are made in his image, that we can create too. By doing good deeds for love of God, our works, prompted by love and obedience, produce wonderful results. And that's right now what we're saying about this with the wells. But this is with anything. If someone's just praying in their private time for the nation, or for their enemies, or for their loved ones, they're going to see God bring forth a great crop in their lives. And so as I'm walking along, I see this big, tall giraffe, and it's eating fruit from the top of the trees. Then I see monkeys swinging. You know, in heaven, there's all these wonderful animals, and they're in the garden. Little children are swinging from the trees, and just
love it.
Everyone was having a wonderful time. And Father explained why I was seeing that all the good that we do multiplies and nourishes many. You got to hear that, Steve. Okay? That's for you. Wow. All the good that we do multiplies. You are made in the image of God. And God says, I create things. And because you're made in my image, by your good deeds, you're creating wells. You're creating the ability for people to get water, to be nourished, to be fed.
And just as you said a minute ago too, it's everybody that ever sends in help, that at all, a portion of everything everybody sends it. Everybody, a portion of it goes into the wells, specific wells. So it's like everything you just said towards me, that's what we're saying about those that send in that help.
Yes.
So
Yes. But the thing is that God knows you spearheaded this. And without a champion taking the lead and running with this thing, none of us would have had the ability to sow into it. And we're grateful to you that you spearheaded that, and God's grateful, but also to all the people that come alongside you, because you couldn't have done it alone. How many wells could you have drilled just by yourself? Okay, so it's an army.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Whoa. So he said that all the good that we do multiplies and nourishes many. Not only are people fed spiritually, emotionally, and physically by the good deeds that we do, that we sow into God's kingdom, but they are equipped to live good lives and produce wonderful gardens. So the people that we're ministering to, praying for, mentoring, helping with the wells, all these people, then they go out and they do good deeds, and they're producing wonderful gardens, and they're producing a harvest that nourishes and feeds many. I'm seeing this with people that we've gone to, I think 17 different states so far, to open portals and release the glory.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And
Yeah.
what I'm getting reports back from people that they started prayer groups, they started Bible studies, they're releasing the glory wherever they're going, and they're seeing the manifestation of the glory of God. So many places. So they're producing wonderful gardens, they're producing a great harvest. God's using them to feed and nourish so many spiritually and emotionally and physically. So it's exciting to see what God's doing. This is a great hour we're living in, if you're following God.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
And then the Lord told me that Father said he made a wonderful garden here on the earth, and that garden was destroyed by Satan coming and deceiving Adam and Eve. And he said to be cautious, because our garden in heaven is well protected. But here on earth, the gardens, our life, that represents our life work. It can be infiltrated by the enemy. He can lie to us, he can deceive us, he can trick us, and to be on guard, because those are his tactics. So the Lord was just reminding me to make sure that we are cautious with that.